Good morning, Carla.
Good morning, Chris. How are you?
Good. Carla, since the last time we connected on the Cup of Joy,
Yes.
Big Picture has gone through a period of purposeful rest.
Yes, yes, yes.
Um,
That's so true.
how was it for you?
For me, I worked on myself, on my body a lot. So woke up a little late, worked out, watched TV, just kind of like whatever moved my body at the moment. And then I like went to the spa. So it was like
Hmm.
really nice to unwind. Um, so yeah, what about you?
Um, I think as happened with a lot of us, like I had plans on how I was gonna rest, and then life intervened and set me on a different path that
Yes.
week. And initially, I was super annoyed, but I found that by midweek, my lesson was like, take go where life takes you. You know, don't get annoyed that your rest was sort of offset by something else. So it felt really good by the end of the week. I will say, and you and I have talked about this separately,
Yeah.
rest is nothing if you don't take the lessons from that and actually reset. And I think that that's what you and I and our org are sort of contemplating right now. How is it going to change our practices? That's the
Yes.
work that continues.
Yeah, I think the intention behind it was, I mean, I found myself in the middle of the week like with anxiety because I was like, oh my gosh, my work, you can't really reset or block off all the work that you're doing. But then I think there was also a moment later in the week I was like, oh, if only I had an additional week of rest,
Yeah.
right? I now know what it feels like and what I need to do to take care of me fully. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I enjoyed
And I
it.
want to let the viewer know that if you're watching this and you're like, "Oh, this is interesting," they took a period of rest. We had a really great conversation with Elizabeth Booz from the Reinvention Lab. They did their own period of rest and have
Mhm.
thought deeply about it. So go back and watch that episode. It was really rich, I think, for us, and probably will be for the viewer if you haven't watched it. All right, so let's introduce today's guest, who is a friend of Big Picture. We're very pleased to welcome today Timothy Jones from many things,
Was
among them hip hop ed. So, Timothy, what is
yes.
up? How are you?
Hey, what's going on, Chris? Hey, Carla. How's everyone
Hi.
doing?
Good.
Great,
Thank
great.
Great.
you for joining us in what is an experiment for Carla and I. This sort of cup of joy, this new space that we're playing in. We take a ton of inspiration from you, Timothy, and from Hip Hop Ed because you've played in.
Did he freeze on your end?
Yeah, I thought I was.
I was like, "What did you play
I was
it?"
like, well, this is part of Cup of Joy must be the freestyle element, and you
And
and I
yes,
being, me representing hip hop ed, and
yes.
but
So
no, go ahead.
okay. So last time you and I got the privilege of meeting you in person in Amplify. And so one
Yes,
thing that comes to mind, so it's great to see you again.
yes, great to
And
see
just
you as
kind of
well.
seeing the work that you're doing online with hip hop ed because I mean, there's just whenever I enter Twitter space, I'm like, there's something always popping off, like in a good way that I like join or that I read on the chat. So I just want to know like what have you been up to and what's new
Yeah.
in that realm?
So for us, the newest thing that we've been delving and dabbling with is Twitter Spaces.
Okay.
We've been running our weekly chat for now going on 11 years. But
Wow.
I'd say right around December, Twitter reached out to Chris Emden, who leads the hip hop ed movement, and asked him if he would be one of their, I guess, pioneer or intentional users to begin to use Twitter Spaces.
Okay.
We have been doing Instagram Live as a precursor for the chat during the pandemic because everybody was in their own spaces and we just felt the need to be more intentional in creating community. But then we decided to do Twitter Spaces, and so far it has been great. It's allowed us to meet people who have been a part of our community kind of in different distances. Like you take that neutron and you have the different outer rings that keep going. And so
Yeah.
now you have individuals who will enter the Twitter space and tell us, oh, we've been following your chat for years, but this is the first time I've had an opportunity to speak and talk about their own work. And honestly, it's soul feeding for us because we get to meet people that we've inspired unbeknownst to us, and then in turn we get inspiration from hearing about them. One of the greatest things, it's allowed us to connect with some young people, in particular some young people in Kansas City. So it's great that you and I met in Kansas City and Amplify. We've connected with some high school students in Kansas City who've been coming back multiple weeks
awesome.
and sharing insights. So Twitter Spaces for us has been this new frontier, and it's been great so far.
It's good to see you. And also welcome back, Chris.
Never have I been happy with our decision to have two hosts of the show, right? So
what's going on, Chris? I think you were right in the middle of asking a question or saying something, but Carl,
I think I was about to drop like the most amazing thing I've ever said. So like you'll just have to guess at what that was.
Yes, those invisible bars are the best bars because they always fit wherever you wanna have them go.
We try to keep it spontaneous here, you know.
No doubt.
You know, considering that I'll probably get kicked off at any minute again. I wanted to know. I know that you and Carla were just talking about. I caught the tail end, but you know, in those spaces, it seems like it's opened up an opportunity to have conversations with an even more wide range of folks. For instance, last week, I was in the space and you and Chris were having a conversation with Jamal Bowman about school safety. So, talking about that at all?
It was great. We actually, and as you said, we were talking about school safety, and what made that conversation so great was that we had so many different stakeholders that under normal circumstances, if you was having this conversation in schools, wouldn't have been there. So you had politicians, you had therapists, you had psychotherapists, you had teaching artists, you had parents, excuse me, you had students, all talking about this same issue from their perspective and their lens. And so it's really just been organic. You know, the beauty of spaces, you can have up to 10 speakers. And so we've been running it kind of live podcast, live radio show. I'm working behind the scenes. He's serving as host. We go back and forth. So we're the Chris and Carla, the way y'all do the check-in. And that's really what we've been doing and learning while we're doing it. We're actually having a conversation this evening at 8 p.m. Eastern time, talking about the criminalization of Black and brown students in high school, because 2 high school students from Kansas City have become regulars in our Twitter spaces. And one of the students was literally like, I don't feel safe in my school. And 2, they make us feel like prisoners. And I feel like if a student is brave enough to get on a Twitter space with 150, 200 adults and say that, that's all the data that we need, that we need to discuss that. We need to address that, because if nothing else, we need to let our young people know that we're listening. And the time that I've spent at Big Picture and at Big Picture schools, like that's one of the greatest things. It's like when I've talked to young people, they always talk about how their voices are heard. And so if we can replicate that in this virtual space, then that's a win.
Timothy, I'd be remiss if I didn't point out that this is our first episode during what we recognize as Black History Month. You know?
No doubt. You
know, and I think a lot of times the practice that folks do is they recognize people who have made Black history 50, 100 years ago. I'm curious about who you would say is making Black history now. I want to count you and Chris, and I would say Misha Porter and of course Carlos Moreno. But who are some other folks we should know that are breaking new mold right now?
You know, I'm a sports fan. I'm gonna give a shout out to Brian Flores. You know, him taking that stand and knowing that he may fall on the sword and never coach again, but if this brings a change for future generations, that's what it's about. I think about the work of Nicole Hannah-Jones and the pushback that she's received for her pen. And the beautiful thing is that when people try to push back and AKA cancel, and you're doing it for the righteous reasons, it just amplifies your light. So in some ways, it's like, okay, when you become a hashtag, you grow. I want to shout out my niece, Dr. Angel Jones, who is doing a lot of work in what she called the public scholarship space as an Afro-Latina. And honestly, as an uncle, I've wanted to be protective, but then seeing the revolutionary spirit inside of her, then I just pray, it's like, okay, God, protect her, because it is amazing. And I'm going to say this as a man, it is amazing the attacks that women get that men don't. Like there are things that Chris can say, there are things that I can say that will not get the same venom than if Carla or my niece Angel says it. And I just want to acknowledge that. I try to do my best to stop it, but I think it begins with like highlighting that the rules are not the same. So I wanted to definitely highlight her and Nicole Hannah-Jones, Tamika Mallory, sisters who are really making history right now and having to take hurdles that are higher than ours.
I appreciate that. We are short on time. I'm sorry if this occurred during a couple of minutes when I was off air. There's a chat tonight, isn't there, Timothy?
Yep, at 8 o'clock. It's a Twitter Spaces at 8 p.m. tonight. You can catch it through the Real Hip Hop Ed or at Chris Emden, and we're going to be talking about the criminalization of Black and brown students in schools. And you can catch us every Tuesday on Twitter Spaces, 8:15. Chat starts at 9 o'clock.
Is Chris still doing? He did an Instagram before that, even on times. Is that part of the mix as well?
He may be doing that, but for Hip Hop Ed right now, we're doing the Spaces and the chat. But Chris is all over the place. So
got it.
But it's like the bat signal. I'm Commissioner Gordon. I put the bat signal up, and then he knows to meet us on top of the roof, and let's fight crime in Gotham City.
I often wonder if he's been cloned, because I feel like I see him everywhere. But
that's the beauty of the virtual space. Yes, that think about places we had to jump on planes to do, but look at us. We're in 3 different locales now, just vibing together. So there's definitely benefits to this.
Yes. And you can't leave without saying that we're gonna all be in person together.
Yes, that's right. Yes. Shout out to South by Southwest. We're meeting in Austin. So that means we're going to have some great food and the leadership's journey. Shout out to the family. Mickey Breeze is going to be in the building. If you're at South by Southwest, it's going to be Wednesday, March 9th, 7 to 10. It's also the 25th anniversary commemoration of the death of Big, and so we're going to use that as an opportunity to celebrate, just like they celebrated in Brooklyn when the cars rolled through. So we're going to turn it up for BIG, and that BIG is a double entendre because it's BIG, but also for BIG picture. So you don't want to miss it.
I love it.
All love to Big. It's also the 8th anniversary of my first day with the Big Picture Learning. So
we got to really do it big. The operative word is big. Go big or go home.
Timothy, thank you so much for your time today.
No, thank
you.
Always
love sharing space with you.
Always. See you in a couple of weeks.
For sure.
All right. Peace.
All right. Carla.
What's up, Chris?
Timothy's still in the green room. I can see him. I hope he doesn't mind flattery, but I'm always inspired to share space with him. And we talked earlier about like, how do you set the day right? Like what type of mood do you need to start with in order to make sure the rest of the day, like get yourself into a conversation with Timothy Jones and you're good to go. Excuse me. What did I miss when I left for a couple minutes?
I just picked up and I was like, I know we're going to ask about Twitter and everything that's going on with Hip Hop Ed on that side. So I was like, let me just pick up right away. But we made it happen. But I do agree. I got the privilege of meeting. I mentioned Timothy at Amplify, and I was like, whoa, this guy's energy is just like amazing. Like the aura. And then when we did leadership journeys there, it was really cool. So I'm really excited to do leadership journeys in Austin. And now with the 3 of us together in person would be cool.
That's right.
Are you doing the outro today?
Yeah, I was about to, but I couldn't find it because I thought like I lost my permission when I left for a while. This is live. We're going live, folks. Anyway, I have the outro available. But before the outro, I just want to let folks know that you should have a good day. It's up to you.
Oh, yes.
I'm getting there, Carla. I'm closer.
Your choice. You're closer. You're closer. Yes.
How about this? It's have a good day. It's your choice to not weather to, but why would you choose not to?
Exactly.
All right, folks, thanks for joining us for this first episode of February. We are back on a regular schedule every Monday and Thursday at 11 Eastern, 8 Pacific. Got some great guests this month, so tune in live or check it out in the archive.
See ya.